Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Primal Groudon in the Mega Master League. Now, Primal Groudon is a Fire and Ground type Pokemon with the moveset of Mud Shot and two Legacy Charge moves, Precipice Blades and Fire Punch. Now, this thing is an absolute behemoth, getting over 6,600 CP. I did some practice battles with members of my Discord, and this thing absolutely went off. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Primal Groudon in action in the Mega Master League. Hopping to the first match, leading Primal Groudon versus regular Groudon, and what better way to see the difference than seeing the Primal Groudon go up against the regular. I'm going to farm up, go straight for the Precipice Blades, and it one-shots the opponent. This thing is absolutely absurd. In comes Mega Gardevoir, but these charms are not doing a lot of damage. Thanks to Primal Groudon adding that fire subtyping, it is now a very effective fairy killer. I'm able to successfully bait with a Fire Punch, and I'm going straight for the Precipice Blades here. Does the opponent respect it? Yes, they do. Opponent now going to send in Dialga, but there is just no escape from the wrath of Primal Groudon. Precipice Blades one-shots Dialga. Back in comes the Gardevoir. I'm going to bank the Fire Punch for later and send in Kyurem. I do have two dragons in the back, which is quite scary going up against Mega Gardevoir, but the good news is the combination of a Glaciate from the Kyurem and the Fire Punch from the Primal Groudon is going to mean game over. Primal Groudon, Fire Punch takes care of Mega Gardevoir, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Primal Groudon into Mewtwo. Mewtwo, of course, one of the deadliest Pokemon in the Master League, and Mewtwo may have found its match as Primal Groudon actually wins CMP over Mewtwo. I'm able to successfully bait with a Fire Punch. They go for a Psystrike, and as you can see, I do live one Psystrike. I'm going to farm up. I will commit a shield on Psystrike number 2. I'm going to look to overfarm quite a bit, and then I'm going to full send the Precipice Blades here. I'm farming up, firing off the Precipice Blades just before they get to the Psystrike. Precipice Blades KOs the Mewtwo, and opponent is going to send in Mega Gyarados. I'm going to bank energy for later and then send in Kyurem. My goal is to check and see if they have any kind of a Charmer in the back, but it looks like they're just going to stay in with Gyarados. I'm only going to get to one move here. Glaciate is resisted, but I did want to get that debuff off, so I will fire off the Glaciate. That's not going to do a lot of damage, but it will get that ever-important attack drop, which means that Dragonite will have a slightly better time in this matchup. In comes the Dragonite. Opponent is going to fire off the Crunch. Dragonite is going to be able to tank it in the back. Opponent running some Spice. They have a Shadow Alolan Exeggutor. That's what can be fun about practice battles, is you get to see some very cool picks. But now, Primal Groudon in a very good spot to finish off this game. I will commit the shield on the Seed Bomb. I should be able to overfarm and go for the Fire Punch. This is only neutral, but Primal Groudon does get same type attack bonus. That's going to KO. In comes the Mega Gyarados, and Primal Groudon gets to the Precipice Blades, takes down the Gyarados, and secures the win. Moving into the next match, we've got Primal Groudon facing off against Garchomp. This Garchomp is running Dragon Tail, so it will be able to apply some decent fast move pressure here. I'm going straight for the Precipice Blades, and I'm able to grab an early shield from my opponent. My opponent is going to start firing off Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb does hit for super effective damage, thanks to the added fire subtyping. Opponent going to send in Reshiram. No baits here. Going straight for the Precipice Blades. It fully one-shots the Reshiram. Back in comes that Garchomp. Garchomp going to be firing off another Sand Tomb, but this is not going to KO. Primal Groudon able to hang on, make it to a third Precipice Blades here. Precipice Blades gets the shield, and I'm able to KO a full Pokemon and take 2 shields without using a single shield. This thing is absolutely absurd. My opponent fires off a Sand Tomb with the Garchomp. I'm looking for the farm down with Kyurem. In the back, they have Kyogre. I'll be honest, I just blind through the Glaciate here. I should have just gone for the Dragon Claw. Either way, I'm in a fantastic spot, as I have Dragonite, and Dragonite will comfortably be able to take care of Kyogre. Kyogre is farming up a ton of energy, but I'm able to make it to the Superpower. From this range, Superpower should be lethal, KOing Kyogre and getting the win. Hopping to the next match, leading Primal Groudon into Mega Gyarados. Now this is a bit of an interesting matchup, as Gyarados is a water type which can hit Groudon for double super effective damage. I'm staying in this matchup, going for a bait, and able to grab a shield. Precipice Blades just does so much damage that opponents really like using shields. I'm farming up a lot of energy here, opponent. Gonna send in Dragonite, and I'm gonna respond with Kyurem. Unfortunately, this team is a bit weak to a Dragonite save switch. I'm gonna fire off a Dragon Claw with Kyurem. Opponent commits the shield, and at this point, it's looking like I'm just gonna lose switch. My opponent has an energy lead, so I'm actually just going to let this through, and then send in my own Dragonite. I'm basically just gonna save my shield for my Primal Groudon, and hope that Groudon will be able to clutch in the endgame. That deals so much damage in the back. Opponent has Florges. Oh my goodness. Primal Groudon can sweep this endgame. I'm gonna fire off Superpower just to burn the clock. Send in Groudon, continue to farm. In comes Mega Gyarados. This thing is still really healthy, but Primal Groudon does not care. Get absolutely destroyed. In comes the Florges. It's getting KO'd as well. Precipice Blades to the face. And that is a good game. Tough lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Dragonite. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, farm up some energy, tank a Dragon Claw because Primal Groudon is so tanky. And then I'm going to save the energy for later and bring in Kyurem. My opponent staying in this matchup, and they're going to fire off an early Dragon Claw. I will commit the shield as I don't really want to be in the red health already. My opponent is going to take the shield advantage and then send in Avalugg. Avalugg does have some pretty nice bulk at level 50, so I can fire off a couple Dragon Claws, and Avalugg is just not going to care here. I'm going to be firing off Dragon Claw number 2. That is going to get Avalugg low. Avalugg continues to farm and is finally going to fire off the Body Slam. I'm going to let this go. I do have some energy on the Primal Groudon. Let's put it to work. I'm going to farm up to the back-to-back Fire Punches here. Going for Fire Punch number 1 into the Avalugg. Fire Punch gets the shield. I'm going for Fire Punch number 2 right away. Continuing to put pressure onto the Avalugg. Avalugg lets that through. They're going to send in Dragonite. I send in my own. In the back, my opponent has a Shadow Wall Rain. So they are running double ice into my double dragon. Things not looking good for me. I will commit the shield on the Icicle Spear. I'm going to farm up and fire off the Superpower on the CMP tie. This way, hopefully, I can use this opportunity since they're stuck throwing their move to get some farm on my Groudon. My opponent makes a really nice play here. They undercharge because they do not want me to KO them. So I am going to be firing off the Dragon Claw here. At this point, I'm just going to get them as low as possible and try and go for farm with Primal Groudon. Primal Groudon gets the farm down. In comes Dragonite. Dragonite able to reach a move. Can Primal Groudon hang on here? This Dragon Claw is fired off. Groudon able to hang on, and I'm going for the Precipice Blades. This is double resisted. Dragonite is a flying type. It KOs anyway. You have got to be kidding me. Primal Groudon is an absolute menace. Moving into the next match, we have Primal Groudon going up against another Mega Gyarados. Again, I'm going to bait with a Fire Punch, and I'm able to grab a shield from my opponent. My opponent has overfarmed quite a bit in this matchup. I will commit the shield, and honestly, I baited once. I'm not looking to bait again. I'm just going straight for the Precipice Blades here. Are they willing to give up the second shield? They are not, except they live on 1 HP, and they're able to reach a last second Aqua Tail. It's double super effective. It gets me low. They send in Reshiram. I bring in Kyurem, but I didn't check the fast move. This is a Fire Fang Reshiram. I should have brought in my Dragonite, as Dragonite would have absolutely crushed this thing. They do make it to a Fusion Flare. I will commit the shield, as this way I'm going to be able to debuff whatever my opponent has in the back. I'm able to get the farm down. We'll have to see. At this point, the Mega Gyarados is basically dead. They have to send in their third, and it's Dialga. And barring a catch of a Draco Meteor, this game is unfortunately over. I fire off the Glaciate. Glaciate will debuff, but unfortunately, I'm still not able to reach another move. I just have to try and go for a catch. Send in the Dragonite, switch in the Primal Groudon, and unfortunately, by failing the catch, the game will be over. Dialga vanquishes Dragonite, and that's GG's. Tough lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Kyogre. I save switch into Kyurem, and my opponent is going to respond with Mega Gardevoir. So far, things could not be going much worse than they are. Mega Gardevoir is able to charm down before I make it to a second Glaciate, and I'm going to send in my Primal Groudon. I'm looking to massively overfarm here and hopefully leave close to a Precipice Blades. They go for the Shadow Ball. That's debuffed, and on top of that, Primal Groudon is very tanky. I'm farming up so much energy here, firing off the Fire Punch. This Fire Punch is going to KO the Gardevoir. In comes Kyogre. This is going to do so much damage if they let it through. Precipice Blades gets the shield, but now I have shield advantage in the endgame. In the back, opponent has Landorus, and things are looking really good. Thanks to that Precipice Blades being able to force a shield, shield advantage Dragonite can do exceedingly well going up against Landorus. Landorus has Stone Edge, but with the shield advantage, I'm perfectly fine here. I just shield up the Stone Edge. I'm going to fire off the Dragon Claw just to keep the pressure on my opponent. If they want to keep the Landorus alive, they have to burn the final shield. Opponent lets it go. They're going to trust in Kyogre, but unfortunately, Kyogre really does not like to see a Dragonite that's in the green. Kyogre is going to fire off the Surf. That lands onto the Dragonite. Dragonite going for the Dragon Claw here. This Dragon Claw will be getting Kyogre very low. Kyogre lets it through. Dragonite going for the farm down. They reach a last second move, but Surf is non-lethal. I can let it through, farm down, and get the win. Dream Lead in the next game, Primal Groudon into Metagross. Opponent save switches into Kyurem. I'm going to stay in this matchup and fire off the Precipice Blades, hoping my opponent is going to let it through. Opponent does commit the shield, and I'm going to mirror into my own Kyurem. Honestly, I probably should have just stayed in there and played it out, but I was a little worried about that Metagross eventually getting aligned onto my Kyurem, so I basically just decided to throw away my own Kyurem. I'm just going to sacrifice my Kyurem and then hope that with shield advantage, my Primal Groudon will do well in the endgame. I'm going to send in Dragonite. I'm looking for the farm down here of the Kyurem. Kyurem on 1 HP makes it to the Dragon Claw, and I have made a serious miscalculation. I'm basically just putting my full faith into Primal Groudon to carry me to victory in this game. I fire off the superpower, that's going to land. It's a simultaneous switch, and it's Primal Groudon into Dragonite. Even with the Primal form, this is a matchup where Primal Groudon can struggle, just mainly due to the fact that any move it throws is going to be resisted. I will commit the shield here. Unfortunately, my health is starting to dwindle. I'm going to continue to farm up, going for the Fire Punch. Fire Punch is going to be getting my opponent quite low here. Fire Punch does get them into the yellow. Unfortunately, this is still not a range where a third Fire Punch would KO. I will commit the shield on the Dragon Claw, continuing to farm. I'm going for the Fire Punch, but again, Dragonite just does not have to shield this if they don't want to. They're going to let this go. They're going to send in Metagross. I farm up, switch, and I get the catch onto Dragonite. Unfortunately, even this catch I don't think is going to be enough to save me. I send in the Primal Groudon, but I just don't have enough HP here. I would need to make it to 3 Fire Punches, and as you're going to see, I have over 2, but I'm not going to make the 3rd, as unfortunately we do lose the game. Hopping into the final match, we've got the Dream Lead, Primal Groudon into Melmetal, and the Melmetal is not switching out. I'm just going to continue to farm here. They're going to fire off a Superpower. Superpower honestly does not do a lot. Opponent save switches into a Dragonite, and I'm going to respond with a Dragonite of my own. Again, Dragonite save switch proving to be a bit problematic for this particular team. They fire off the Dragon Claw. I commit the shield. I'm going to farm up a little bit, and then I'm going to fire off my own Dragon Claw here. My Dragon Claw does get no shielded by the opponent, as they're perfectly fine taking shield advantage. Is my opponent going to be sending back in the Melmetal? They are not. They're going to send in their Mega Gyarados. I'm able to reach the last second Superpower. This will be hitting for super effective damage. Superpower does get shielded by my opponent. I'm going to send in Primal Groudon. I just have so much energy here. Firing off this Precipice Blades. Precipice Blades, not quite able to KO, but I catch the Aqua Tail onto Kyurem, and that should win the game, as the opponent does have a dominating matchup here. Melmetal into Kyurem, but at this point, Kyurem, I don't really need to win this game. I can just rely on Primal Groudon, and Primal Groudon is going to be able to carry me to victory. They're going to fire off Rock Slide after Rock Slide, continuing to apply super effective pressure onto the Kyurem, but Kyurem is still just in an incredibly good spot here. Kyurem going to fire off this Glaciate. Glaciate gets them low. They can get rid of the Kyurem, but I mean, we're just in a dominating position. We have the Primal Groudon ready to go. In comes Primal Groudon. They can throw whatever moves they want to throw. Unfortunately, not going to be enough to save them. In comes the Gyarados. It gets farmed down. The Melmetal does as well, and that is a good game. And now some final thoughts on Primal Groudon. To be honest, this thing is a certified beast. It has a terrific moveset, Mudshot, one of the best fast moves in the game. Now we get same type attack bonus on its bait move of Fire Punch, and Precipice Blades is a strict upgrade over Earthquake, dealing more damage while costing slightly less energy. So if you are wanting to make an investment for the Mega Master League, and honestly, the regular Groudon at level 50 will put in a ton of work as well, then I would recommend doing some raids here, either at the Hoenn Tour, globally, or the one in Vegas, because this thing is a threat. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.